The Louisiana governor is Jeff Landry. He told reporters yesterday that the LSU athletic director, Scott Woodward, would not be involved in selecting LSU's next football coach, saying he would let President Donald Trump do it before Woodward. Okay. A joke, but still, this is your acting athletic director here. They, of course, fired Brian Kelly. Now you got a settlement here, and Brian Kelly's going to walk away with perhaps $54 million. And, well, here is the governor yesterday at the press conference.
This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. You know, I'm not going to be picking the next coach, but I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful, and we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly, and we're going to put metrics on it, because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers, you know, to foot the bill. Look, my role is about the fiscal effect of firing a coach under a terrible contract.
Okay, so he criticized Woodward, the athletic director, for agreeing to a 10-year, $95 million contract with Brian Kelly. LSU's on the hook for $54 million. Woodward said that the school would, quote, continue to negotiate Brian Kelly's separation and will work towards a path that's better for both parties. Now, the governor then also criticized his athletic director for agreeing to a similar one-sided coaching contract when Texas A&M, he was the athletic director when Jimbo Fisher got his contract. We have another comment from the governor, Marvin. Okay.
Selecting the next coach.
Who's that?
Scott Woodward.
No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it.
Who will be?
I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach.
That's SEC football right there. That's SEC football. Yeah. I'm going to throw my athletic director under the bus. Yes, Todd?
Real quick question. What about the taxes and the unemployment rate? And our streets need to be a lot more safe, and all the kids don't have school books. What are we going to do?
Okay, but in fairness to the governor, this was not about the football situation. He was asked football questions. And then that was at the end of the press conference. I don't know what the press conference was about, but I know what it became about, because it was about, you know, picking your successor to Brian Kelly and doing it in a fiscal way. Now, I don't know if this means, hey, how about not a 10-year deal? Hey, maybe you don't get that coach because you're going to be tied up for 10 years, and you should never be tied up for 10 years with a coach with that amount of money. And this athletic director has done it twice with Jimbo Fisher and now Brian Kelly. You may not get the guy you want, but you might get somebody who is on the precipice of being somebody, and maybe you get them at a better price. Don't go over 5 years. Don't. In today's college football climate, nobody's staying around for 10 years, whether they want to leave or you want them to leave. Sustainability is so difficult now. I'm not signing up for 10 years with anybody. I'd have a prenup. Yeah, Paulie.
So in theory, the governor is agreeing with what you're saying, and he's going to have a more fiscally conscious contract for whoever the next head coach of LSU is. I don't know if he realizes that's not the current trend in college football, and no current coach is going to consider LSU under those conditions. For example, Lane Kiffin, if he gets a call from LSU and says, we're going to offer you a 6-year contract and the buyout is light, he will not return their calls, because Florida will not do that. They'll be with the old rules, 10 years, $110 million.
But even if I give 10 years to Lane Kiffin, he's not staying there 10 years.
But he will never join your football team.
You know what? At some point, I have to have some kind of continuity. I have to have where we're both in this together. And Brian Kelly was never a good fit. He wasn't. He's a really good coach. He's going to coach someplace. He's going to get opportunities. Vegas already has odds of where they think he's going to end up. He will coach. But if you're going to try to Even Indiana with Kurt Cignetti. I love the story. He's been successful. I don't want to give you 9 years. I'm going to give you 5. I'm going to give you 5 top-end dollars. But after that, then we go into this together. And it's not his age. It's just I can't give you 10 years. That's an eternity in college football now. But the governor's involved in this, and you got other younger coaches here that would love to coach LSU. And maybe you sign them up for 5 years. Maybe you get a friendly contract there. I mean, who are the marquee coaches that you have to give a 10-year deal to? James Franklin? I don't want James Franklin. Urban Meyer is not going to show up on the doorstep. The only guy that you would ever consider this, or you might have to consider this, is Lane Kiffin. Nick Saban's not coming back to LSU. Urban Meyer. The one guy is Lane Kiffin. All the other coaches, no, Ryan Day is not going to LSU. So who are the coaches where you go, we got to give him 10 years? Kirby Smart's not going to LSU. None of these coaches are going there. It's Lane Kiffin. That's it. Yeah, Paul.
I don't know if he'd look at it. There's been no reports, but if Dan Lanning of Oregon put himself out there, it would be interesting to see what he got from LSU. Just
Great
young,
coach, yeah.
energetic.
But you're at Oregon. You're in the Big Ten. You got the financial resources that match Texas. You got, the boosters, Phil Knight, Nike, that atmosphere. Now, I know he's an SEC guy, so I guess there's always that chance. Yes, Marvin.
What about Dabo Swinney? Only 55?
He'll want a 10-year deal, but I don't want Dabo Swinney for 10 years. He's
definitely a 10-year guy.
But I don't want him. Not in today's college football, because it's not working at Clemson. Your model is not working at Clemson right now. It did, but it's not going to. It's not sustainable. You're going to go to LSU? What system are you bringing in to LSU? Yeah, Paulie.
I could see Sweeney because it's cooled off at Clemson right now, and before you get a chance to be fired, remember the old Jimbo Fisher model at Florida State? I'm cooling off. I'm going to run to A&M and get 10 years, $75 million. That could be what Dabo does before someone else tells him he's leaving.
I hope LSU hires somebody who is, an up-and-coming guy and get that opportunity. But, maybe you get these guys who go, I could swoop in and get a big payday here. It feels like Lane Kiffin's gone. It just feels like that. And I brought this up about the documentary that I saw on the mothership, and there's no reason for him to leave Oxford, given that his family's there, he's healthy now. There's a lot of positives there, what he's doing for Ole Miss. But I don't know if Lane has always got one foot in and one foot out. It just feels like that's his personality. Yes, Marv.
Do you think that the LSU brass would put up with a lower level kind of no-name head coach? Like, we're LSU. How come we don't have a big-time coach? If they get some guy that came from a smaller school, they'd be like, who?
Well, Ed Orgeron wasn't a big-name coach. Les Miles wasn't a big-name coach.
I'll take offense to that.
I mean, Nick Saban became a big-name coach. So I think it could be a launching pad. Yeah, Paulie.
Lane Kiffin does not make quite as much as some of the other coaches. I don't think he's in the top. He's the 11th highest paid coach in the country as of this year. That win he had over Oklahoma last week actually triggered a 1-year contract extension for him, and that will pay him $9 million, but that's at the back end of his contract. He is
all right. I pump him up $2 more million.
Yeah.
I put him in $11 million. I keep him there.